Hi, my name is William. I'm the creator of Miles Infernum, and I'm here to show you some of the procedural stuff that I did for the game. Um, this right here is what I call a terrain chunk, which is just a piece of the terrain that you stand on when you play the game, and it works quite simply. It just updates whenever. As a matter of fact, the update function in the game is called whenever a terrain chunk is moved or created. But I turned on auto update and some other stuff just to show you some of the things that I did. And for this example, I can move around so you can see how it gets updated if the position is changed. These are some of the settings that I have for the terrain chunk. One of the most important one is the iterations, which is the variable that defines how dense will the mesh be. So if you can see that when I increase the iterations, the mesh gets a lot denser and more detailed. And when I get this value down, it gets really low poly and with very little detail. I made that because I tried to target users that have slower computers, and they might want to choose the lower settings, and I look at that setting and decide how much iterations the mesh will have, so that the lower end computers can have higher frame rates, and the people with better computers can have better quality. Anyway, the other settings are not actually needed to be externalized like I did here, but just for the sake of demonstration, I thought it'd be cool to show you. This noise iteration here is kind of if you have ever done noise calculations before, you know that there's a function called FBM that you create more than one level of noise, and you add up with a decreasing strength. So you have it's called a level of detail. So yeah, it's kind of, this is the amplitude of the noise. So I can, if I ever wanted the lava to stay on top, that this is the setting that I would change. And I can just reset it so I have a better refresh rate. So you see, if I have a lower noise scale, the detail gets more spread around, and if I get a higher noise scale, the detail comes together. So that's it. Let me just reset it to the normal setting. And this contrast, I think it's the contrast between the noise iterations. If I have a higher contrast, the noise levels that are added together would have like 100% added, so that would be seven levels of noise. And if I have like contrast to 1, or I don't even let it go all the way to 1. But if I had it, 1 would be 100%, so the 7 levels of noise would be just added together without any diminished value. This hyperparameters here is it's not actually a vector. It's just 3 values that I use to make because all these values are thrown in a hypertangent method, which is a method that returns a value that could go from -1 to 1, and if I input it like infinite, it would give me 1, and if I input minus infinite, negative infinite, it would be -1. So all the levels in the terrain never goes beyond 1, and never goes beyond lower than -1. And I think X is multiplying the value that is going inside the hypertangent method, and 1 is adding, and I don't know if Z is doing anything. I think it is doing something, but anyway, it's just some way that I could control the lava and the rocks, because the terrain that is above ground is what I call the rocks, and this is why there are 2 hyperparameters. One is for the lava and the other one is for the rocks, and how they blend together is how I define here in these variables. I'm sorry, I don't. I think okay. I think hyperparameter 2 is controlling the rocks, as you can see. This is probably multiplying the value inside, I think, and this is probably adding, so I can remove everything. Yes, I think that is what it's doing. And the Z, I can't understand what the Z is doing. I can't remember what I did. Let me just reset everything here. Okay, so this would be the, let me just increase this, and this would be something about the lava and the ground. Let me just try to move this over here so you can see it clearly, more clearly at least. Yes, this is the multiplier for the lava, and this is adding, probably, so I can add and remove from the ground to the lava. Okay, I think this is it for the terrain chunk. Let me just show you how the whole terrain system works. It's kind of very usual stuff, because this idea I didn't get from, I didn't create this idea. I got it from somewhere. I don't know, maybe a tutorial on YouTube. But it's basically all these chunks are being controlled by the player position. But as I don't have a player position right now, I'm using the holder of the script of the terrain generator to make all the terrains move accordingly to its position. And as you can see, all the terrains are threaded, and they are updating asynchronously, and also they're kind of in a queue that doesn't let the computer uh, create more threads than what the computer has. So I get the value, the number that says how many threads the computer have, and I limit the queue to just create that number of threads every frame. So the game doesn't freeze while they're updating, and as so that I had to make to make a system that the radius of that terrain generated uh, would have to be a certain value, because if the player ran too fast, so the terrain updates in time, so the camera doesn't see anything. So I have to tweak this value so that everything would work nicely. And I think this is it for the terrain demonstration. I'll make a demonstration about the procedural animations later. Okay, so as you can see, this is the player, and he's kind of moving backwards right now because of the settings that I have right here. So all these game objects are inverse kinematics that controls the leg and the arms and the spine, and these are the values that I can change so that it animates the way I want to. So run speed, if I put like 0, and I put the distance to 0 also, it stops. So this distance is what would be the amount of ground he's walking or running, and with that added to the run speed, it animates accordingly. So, and also if I put this to 1 and this to 1, but I put run to 0, he would be in a cycle, in a walk cycle, and 1 would be the run cycle. So I have this control of running or walking, and the distance that he's walking or running. So if this is -1, it kind of runs backwards, and if it's +1, it runs forward. And if I want him to just run a little bit, I would make this value very low. And I can incline the spine either way too. And I think this is also changing according to distance. So if the distance is longer, the incline would be more. He would incline more. And the scale is something that I can't change because it's something about the signs and cosines that I use for animation, and where they consider be like the origin of the circle that the arms and legs are rotating around. So this is kind of fixed. I just put it here because I wanted to tweak it. So maybe find a better value. And holding a gun is because the player um, has a gun, obviously, and 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 I use the same script for the enemy, and the enemy doesn't hold a gun, so the animations without this with the spooling off is actually configured more for the enemy, and when it's holding a gun, it's kind of a cheap trick here, but I was kind of trying to make it fast. This is nothing. This is just some variables that I use just to try to make the animations better. So if I wanted to increase some of the values without having to change according to these values, and I wanted to create a new value, so I just use the X from this vector, and I could tweak some of the animations. I should have removed this, but anyway. So this is basically it. And the third thing that is procedural in the game is the progression. So, but it's quite simple. So I'm just gonna explain how it works. It's very simple. It's just for every enemy that shows up, you have a certain amount of time to kill it, and if you kill it before the time runs out, so this means that you're going to like the next, oh, it's the next wave actually. So in the next wave would have a different amount of enemies for you to kill, and a different different time for you to kill them. And if whenever you kill all the enemies before the before the time runs out, you get promoted to the next wave. So, and if you don't, you'll stay in the same wave. And if you die, I think you are punished by reducing, I think, 2 waves from your current status. And that is it. I hope you. I'm very sorry about my English. Sometimes I hope you watch the video in like 2 times the speed, because my English is not very efficient, as you can see. So this is it. Thank you for watching, and I hope you guys like the game, and I promise to make more stuff to make the game more interesting. I'll take the opportunity of this video to try and tell you what plan that I have for this game, and it's very Doom inspired. So I'm thinking about making a level that is in a city, like it would be like hell on earth, and like demons coming out from the ground, and of course there will be a lot more demons and different demons, boss fights, and everything. But I'm not sure what kind of upgrades I will do for the free game, and what stuff will be just on the full version game. And I plan to put the full version game on Steam to try to sell it there. And I'm not sure about the price yet. And anyway, I'm planning on working on this game for quite some time. So there's gonna be a lot of improvements, and I hope you liked it. If you want to give a like or share this video, feel free. And This is it. Bye bye.